Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Perpetual Chess. Listeners, we have a guest I'm very excited to chat with, and I will introduce him in one moment. First, I wanted to give a shout out to our sponsors, Chessable.com. As we record this on May 28th, friend of the pod, National Master Robert Ramirez has a new course out on the Stonewall. Actually, when I chatted with him, he kind of teased it, but wouldn't say what it was. I actually don't want you guys to play the Stonewall, but it is out if you want to go play that opening that I hate playing against. I'm sure our guest has something good that I could play against because it's not actually supposed to be that good. But anyway, check that out. Check out the other stuff they have. And if you sign up for Chessable Pro, as you guys know by now, please use the link in the description. As for our guest, I'm really excited to chat with him. He's got all kinds of records. He became the youngest Latvian champion in history in 2016. He's a 4-time Latvian champion, 6-time chess Olympian, prolific and popular Chessable author. His newest is called The Leningrad Dutch Simplified. He's also a chess YouTuber, streamer, commentator, trainer. I think he checks every single box. We'll have to ask him about that. And most recently, he's been training Gotham Chess, which is what reminded me that I want to speak with this gentleman because I've been greatly enjoying the series. And I am pleased to welcome to the program Grandmaster Arturs Neiksans. Welcome, Arturs.
Thank you, Ben, for having me. You know, you named all of those titles, and before our meeting, I was thinking that, very often I've been using all of those titles, like I'm a professional chess player, I am a chess author, chess coach, a commentator, a streamer, so it basically sounds like the Khaleesi from Great Game of Thrones, like you have this list of the titles that keeps going longer and longer and longer, but yeah.
It's you wear many hats and all of them well, so I'm glad to finally chat. And as I mentioned to you before we were starting recording, I've been, I just interviewed Levy, so I've been digging into his content. I mean, obviously I watch his videos from time to time anyway, but particularly enjoy his Road to GM series because it's kind of more geared towards my level, the 2100 level, and I enjoy the narrative. And I really enjoyed the no-nonsense approach. So we want to get into the story behind that. But first, I wanted to pick up on something you said in the interview. There'll probably be more videos out by the time you guys hear this. But the one that was out on May 27th, I believe it's episode number 5, where you guys are talking about evaluation. And you say that evaluating positions and developing the skill of evaluating positions is a topic dear to your heart that you could go on for a while, and these Levy lessons are tightly edited. So I want to hear more about that, Arturs, if you don't mind.
Right. So maybe I'll start from the very beginning, how it actually started. Yeah, if you don't mind, because first time I met Levy back in 2019. I was making a chess tour in the United States. I went there together with my very good friend Igor Kovalenko. We played in a couple of tournaments. First, we went to Las Vegas, National Open, before COVID, of course. And then we played in St. Louis, the Summer Chess Classic, 2019. And in Vegas, I met Levy. So Levy, obviously, before was not yet a content creator. I think he was just starting at a time. And, we greeted each other. We chit-chatted a bit. I had coached his friend, Alex, before a bit, actually exactly in 2019. I think it was the winter or the spring of 2019. And so we just said hello and parted ways. And then it was pretty interesting that eventually Levy became a very successful content creator. I mean, he's the biggest one we actually have. So, and how it actually all this cooperation started, he just released his very first episode, and I was lying in my bed. It was very late night, and I was going to sleep, and suddenly my phone delivered this notification that Gotham Chess has made a new video, and I was like, okay, what is this? Yeah, so let me check it. And he's saying about his ambition to get the GM title. And I'm sitting there, quiet. Everybody's sleeping at home, just me on headphones listening to this, and I'm listening, and suddenly I thought, wow, I can really relate to this because we have very similar growth as Levy. He also started quite early, successfully became an EM, I think it was age 22. I became an EM at age 18. We both took a break from competitive chess. I mean, for different reasons. I was pursuing my career. He was... Actually, I'm not sure what he was doing after those years, but obviously at some point he was focusing on content. And then at some point we turned back to the competitive chess. So I became a grandmaster at 29, and I resumed it at 27. And I felt that it's very similar to Levy, how he is being progressing. So I wrote to him. I still have some channels open from my collaboration to chess.com, and I went to sleep, right? I just basically wrote to him, I would like to cooperate with you. I feel that this is something I can relate to. Maybe you're interested, maybe it's fate, right? I also coached your friend. Let's talk, right? And I went to sleep, and I didn't really expect that he's going to really answer because he's super busy. And and then the next morning I wake up and Levy writes, and says, let's do this. So
amazing.
I was wow. It was like, wow, I didn't really expect that. And that's how it started. We scheduled our first session, and he was, very, very open-minded. I guess I talk about it a bit later. So I suppose I try to answer immediately everything in one go. But speaking about those evaluations, position evaluations, it's one of the topics. I have to talk with him. And I suppose we're still going to talk about it, that we didn't really have so much time to prepare for this tournament in Madrid. We had about slightly less than 10 lessons. Obviously, not all of the stuff is available on YouTube, but I was actually, I was feeling fantastic that in this 5th episode, Levy said, you guys were so excited about our previous episode, which I believe was number 3, about the cooperation together, that he decided to launch the Patreon. I was like, wow, really? Yeah, that was like a huge compliment to me. I was just humbled.
Yeah, well, let's follow up. We'll come back to the evaluation thing because I do have a lot of questions about the collaboration. And as I told Levy in the interview that came out today, but this one will be out 2 weeks later. As I told Levy, I signed up right away because I think, especially for someone at my level, it's basically like getting a lesson. I mean, to watch you instruct Levy and a lot of the weaknesses that I might encounter, I play worse than Levy, but they're at least relatable on some level. So I had been curious if there was some kind of bidding war among grandmasters once word on the street was that he was looking for a coach, but it sounds like you were able to rely on your shared history with him.
Yeah, somehow it happened. Yeah, so I didn't really expect that. So we have, again, a very similar growth in terms of the starting early EM, then the hiatus. I coached his friend. I had met him in real life, and somehow I guess it clicked together for Levy, and he felt that he can try to put some trust into me, and I'm glad he did.
Yeah, for sure. And if you don't mind my asking, Arturs, like obviously this is sort of a unique situation. Like normally you give someone lessons and you charge them an hourly rate, and that's that. Now, Levy could argue that he shouldn't pay you at all because you're getting so much exposure, but conversely, you could argue that you should get more because he's generating multiple revenue streams through the Patreon and stuff like that. So I don't know how much detail you want to go into about the terms, but I couldn't help but be curious if it was hard to come to an agreement.
Right. I mean, we did come to an agreement. It evolved at some point because I had an initial discussion how we saw, and then I thought, okay, I mean, probably my first feeling how it's going to work now has evolved because I was not really sure at the time how much we are going to work. I thought maybe, okay, it's going to be like 1 lesson and 2 lessons, and then Levy's going to say, enough of you,
Right.
I already got everything out of you, so goodbye, right? I'm going to find some top GM like Hikaru. So, okay, I mean, I thought, okay, even if you say a good word about me, then it's just great. But then it became, I think, more serious. Right, we started to work a bit more seriously, and I thought, okay, listen, since we're doing this more seriously, probably we can already agree to a different agreement, and we did, yeah.
Okay, glad to hear it. And then, of course, I've watched all of the videos that have been posted at the time we're recording, and I found your analysis of his strengths and weaknesses to be particularly interesting. So, and I did chat about this with him a little bit. So you said he goes for, his openings are fine. He goes for too many complications. And what else did you diagnose from a review of his games? And is that sort of typical for how you approach helping students?
Right. So what I did in the beginning, because I didn't really know him as a player, naturally. I have seen some of his videos. So I had a very intensive look at his games. He had played about 200 classical games in the past 5 years or so. I didn't really look any further than that. So from these 200 games, I browsed the first 50 games. I was just going one after another. So I had a score sheet in front of me, and I was just checking if I sensed something. And as I was progressing, reviewing these games, these 2 points came out immediately, right? That he keeps making very complex decisions where he doesn't need to. That's why I basically said in those lessons, no funny business when you're having
I
a
like that.
position.
No funny business. Yeah.
Right, which evolved that you have to also, first, before you start to do something serious, you have to evaluate the position, because it depends really how you evaluate your position, then what kind of action you're going to take after that, right? And the second thing that I noticed, which was a bit not so frequent as the first one, or was it the other way around? I really don't remember. I have the numbers, that he constantly misses the opponent's moves. And this was very obvious. Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, when I was looking at the games, I didn't really know that there might be it might be a psychological thing. Obviously, I didn't know that. I mean, I just had the numbers. I could pinpoint some of the topics we should talk about. I also noted some other topics that we should work on. I said to him that. And from the very beginning, I try to be very clear, no BS, no nothing. I just say what it is. I could have done some sweet talk, but I felt that I need to give him very clear look from my perspective how it looks like, and at the same time try not to discourage him. So yeah, it's a very fine balance.
So from evaluating his play, like, how much do you feel he needs to actually improve to reach Grandmaster versus just kind of like executing, just playing better?
Right. I think first he needs to, what to do is to shake off some rust, because he hasn't really played competitive over-the-board chess for almost 2 years. And that's why I'm a bit worried, to be honest, about Madrid. I don't know how he's going to perform. He's very calm. He said to me a couple of times, he has no stress. Maybe I have the stress because I feel a bit responsible now after I'm involving into this. But yeah, I don't know. We have to work on these 2 topics mainly, and some of the other ones that maybe I won't mention all the details. Maybe the competitors are listening and they're preparing against Levy as well. But we're working very seriously for the tournament. And I actually find it to be pretty amazing that Levy has found the time in his schedule. I mean, he's telling me that one day he's going to Google meetings, the second day he's going to some other high-level stuff, and then he finds time to do the chess lessons. I mean, okay, I was like incredibly humbled. But in the very beginning, I said to him, listen, Levy, if you want to become a grandmaster, I'm saying that you need to work like something like 5 times a week. And after that, he just disappeared. He was gone for like 5 days. I thought, okay, that's it. He's gone. I managed successfully to scare him, because I wanted really to stress out that if you want to become the GM, obviously you need to have a long-term time frame to do that. But you're going to have to work really hard and possibly say no to some of the things. Like this is what I meant with the sacrifices, right? And I thought, okay, he's gone. Probably already overdid it. But yeah, he came back and we agreed several times a week.
Yeah, I had the same impression, and I actually wrote about it a little bit in my book, because the first time around, like, I was really into the tournament recaps. Again, I love following the storyline, but I did get the sense that away from the board, he wasn't working super hard on his game, which I can certainly relate to. I don't work that hard on my game either. It's just hard as a working adult. But I did, in chatting with him again, get the sense that I think part of it is he sees there's so much interest in it. So I think that this time there's kind of a symbiosis where, like, if you get the Patreon going, it's one of his most popular series. So hopefully that will also provide some motivation. But it'll be fun to watch. And it seems like you've had to clear a lot of time too. Did you have to drop some students or anything once the relationship intensified?
Right. No, not really, because I've been at the crossroads, to be honest, before the cooperation with Levy, and I was thinking which direction to take. So for me, this comes at the perfect moment, because it seems I have found a new motivation, because I think many coaches can relate to that, right? At some point you start a question. I mean, should I be doing this? Should I be maybe focusing more on writing courses? Because I love writing courses and I love doing commentary, right? And then suddenly, out of the blue sky, I could have never predicted this. Came this cooperation with Levy, and suddenly, indeed, I feel that my priorities are shifting. And I said to him, "Listen, I'm ready to make this my priority at the moment, right? Because for me, this is an incredible challenge, and there's no greater motivation when somebody says Levy can't do this. I just love this stuff, keep saying that. So I've read a couple of opinions. Levy can't do that, right? He's a streamer, he's only in EM, etc. I love that, keep saying that, because this is like a very, very good motivation. And the more I read some of the opinions like that, it's like cements my opinion that we are going to do this, right? So it incredibly motivates me. And probably I have delivered to Levy already a couple of pretty impressive motivational speeches, and I think that this time he is very serious about it.
Okay, yeah, glad to hear it. And that's my impression as well. Arturs, I'm just curious, because here in the US, we call the second highest title IM, International Master. You've referred to it as EM. Which language is that from? You probably speak like 10 languages, I'm guessing. So,
you mean my English language? Which language?
No, when you say EM, is that...
right, EM. Or I'm supposed to say I am. I don't really know. Somehow I'm getting used to this. Because for me, English language is third language. It's not my native language. And I'm born Latvian. Latvian is my first one. And actually, when I was a kid, my second language was Russian, right? Because of our geographical position. And at some point in school, I picked up English, and somehow it just evolved. So I'm trying to improve it. And by the way, this was also one of the reasons why I started to stream, so that I get the practice, I get to speak a lot, and eventually reach that kind of level where you can't really make a difference.
Okay. Well, your English is amazing. I was just curious because I thought maybe it came... No, it really is. I mean, it's basically perfect. But that was just I wasn't sure if it was coming from Russian or Latvian but anyway, it's not important. So I want to return to your story, because as you say, there are some similarities. I mean, I've read in your Chessable bio and in interviews that you took some time away from chess, cold turkey. I went to university, got an MBA. So what brought you back, Arturs?
Well, actually, I think first I could say what took me away.
Yeah.
Because I left because I was not really very inspired about becoming a chess professional. I mean, I became very quickly an EM at age 18, which I think is a pretty decent age today. Probably for modern standards, it's pretty late. But at the time, I think it was pretty okay. And I was supposed to become a GM like in 2 or 3 years after that. But I was looking at some of the grandmasters who were always unhappy that I beat them. They're like always grumpy, etc. And I thought, I don't want to be like that. I don't want to be I don't want to become a professional player who doesn't really have a proper way of living, right? And I decided I'm going to pursue career. And that's why I left it. So I was pursuing career. I got my MBA. I tried to make it work, but I'm not sure. Maybe there are people who can relate to that. Probably they are. Is that I was doing a job and I was not really feeling I'm there where I belong. So I was just doing it. I was getting my pay, but it was just like I was just doing it to exist, basically. And chess at the time was something which I suppose kept me alive. So somehow it's really amazing, how life makes full circles. And back in whatever year it was, 2009 or 2010, I got an offer to become a head coach in Riga Chess School. I think I was 27 at the time. And there you go. I was back in business. I got to work with some of the most talented kids in Latvia, the future grandmasters. And it was only a matter of time until I became a grandmaster myself.
Yeah, and of course, Latvia has the rich chess legacy. I mean, the people that I associate, obviously Tal, and then Shirov, a generation down. And here in the U.S., Alexander Shabalov, of course, having made his way to here is a big deal as well. Now, I know you're younger than those guys, but what kind of legacy does, obviously Tal in particular, leave as a Latvian player?
Well, obviously, Tal is, he was, or he still is a celebrity in Latvia. I mean, you would ask to anybody on the streets that would recognize Mikhail Tal, right? You would ask him some chess player that would say probably Garry Kasparov, Magnus Carlsen, most likely they know who he is, and obviously Mikhail Tal. I'm really humbled to have such great predecessors. Pardon me, this is a word I can't really ever spell.
Predecessors, yeah.
Garry Kasparov's my great predecessors.
Tough one, yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Right, and I'm humbled that I'm part of the Latvian chess school, that we have about 2 million people living here in Latvia. We have one former world champion, one true chess legend, Shirov, Shabalov, and many others, also Daniel Friedman, who now plays for Germany. Shabalov, of course, many times US champion. So I just try to do my part and at least do something that maybe in time I'm going to meet some kind of a mark in Latvian chess history.
And Shirov, obviously a little closer to your age. Did you, and you broke Tal's record, as I mentioned in the intro, did you get a chance to meet any of these legendary figures?
Right. About Tal, unfortunately, he passed away in 1992. I believe it was June. I don't remember the precise date, but I started to play chess in 1992, October.
Okay.
So I never really had a chance to meet him in person. I didn't know, of course, when I was a kid. I didn't know who is Tal, who is Shirov. I mean, who are they? I was just loving the game. But my first encounter with Shirov was in, I believe so, in 1993, when I was 10 years old. And I come from a very small border town, basically, in Latvia. Valga is bordering Latvia with Estonia. There are about, 10,000 people living there. And it was hosting this incredible 100 board match, Latvia, Estonia. It's really unique. I mean, two countries keep competing against each other on 100 boards. And back in 1993, it was being held in Valka because it's a border town of Latvia and Estonia. And my coach took me there. I mean, I was 10? I was 10 at the time, right? So I went there and I saw this huge match. And I looked at the top board and I could not understand why none of the players are there. I mean, the clock is ticking,
right?
But there's nobody at the board. So I asked the coach why they're not sitting there, because you told me that you have to sit there, right? So that was my first encounter with Shirov. Although I don't really remember him seeing at the time, but then I later checked that he was apparently playing there. But after that, we became colleagues, and I got to know him.
Okay. And how's the current crop of Latvian players shaping up?
You mean the current, how we're currently looking?
Yeah.
Well, Shirov has left the Latvian Chess Federation, which is a pretty long story. But I'm right now the number one player in Latvia. We had Igor Kovalenko representing the National Federation for 10 years. He came over from Ukraine. He played for us and developed very good relationship with all the local players. We loved him. He loved us. So he's a fantastic guy. And then he decided to go back to Ukraine. So at the moment we have me. I'm the number one player in Latvia. Second and third players are Nikita Meshkov and Tom Kantans, my former students.
Okay. And do you know if you'll be playing at the Olympiad?
They will be playing at the Olympiad. I don't know about Shirov, but we'll be top 3 boards for Team Latvia in the Olympiad.
Okay. And as we record this, so you mentioned you're about to head to a tournament. With all this going on with Levy, and with the Olympiad kind of further on the horizon, are you finding time to work on your game, Arturs?
Unfortunately, no. I have no time, and the only complaint I have is that daily we have only 24 hours because I have so many ideas, so many things to do, and I just have to prioritize what to do. So I'm looking at this tournament, which is the French Team Chess Championships held in Chartres, France, as an escape from the everyday's troubles. I just want to go there. I want to relax. I want to play some classical chess and hopefully get back some lost rating points. But mainly I just want to relax, right? And actually also this is the time when Levy is going to Europe. So he will be playing in Madrid, also hosting this exhibition match between Martinez and Kramnik. I'll be in France.
Okay, so you're not going to pop into Spain?
Probably not, no.
Okay. And what about like while you're playing, are you going to be able to continue to do lessons with Levy, or are you guys going to take a break with you heading out for travel?
I think that we are going to take a break, but in the past days before I'm departing, we agreed to do quite a few more lessons. Actually, right after this podcast, we're doing yet another lesson. So the final one before we depart, I think he departs at the beginning of June. I depart tomorrow. During the tournament, I'm not really sure how our cooperation is going to look like. I suppose it depends on Levy. I already said, in case you need it, I'm ready to help. I always will find time for you. I suppose we'll see.
Okay. And for listeners who sign up for Levy's Patreon, you might get more info on this anyway, but I'm just curious, Arturs, it's all in snippets on his channel so far. Like, are you giving him homework? Like, and anything else you can share from behind the scenes?
Right. I am giving him homework. Actually, in the very beginning, I was bombarding him with homeworks, one homework after another. So he did the first one, and the next one he said I had no time to do it. And I was like, well, okay, I'm not gonna say anything. I understand you're super busy. And then he came back the next time. I didn't manage to do the homework. Okay, that was pretty funny. But I understand. I understand that he is no time. I'm just trying to motivate him that he works on it. And then if he didn't really have time for the homework, then we work on it during the lesson. We talk about that, then we move on to the next topic. But he has improved, definitely. So in the last lessons, he already had done it, and we talked about that.
And we saw in some of the homework in one of the videos you posted, Arturs, that it was positions from Levy's games, like where he, as you said, went for unnecessary complications in many cases. Is that sort of typical of how you design work for students, like based on their own games?
I think so, because these games teaches us the most, because they relate to them the most. They see something familiar, and they immediately can come up with their own experience. This is what I was thinking here. That's my choice, etc. So I felt that I should use his games first, right? That's why I'm doing this. I'm also using quite a lot of my games because, again, these are the games that I know the best. So, for example, I need to explain some concept. For example, mistakes come in pairs, etc. So I just know very quickly, okay, these are my games, right? I can show you it very quickly. But yeah, so I apologized already to Levy a couple of times. Listen, I know that I'm essentially pouring salt in your wounds, right? Because you're looking at these ridiculous games and you are like taunting yourself. How could I play so stupidly? But he always says, no, it's fine. We have to do this.
That makes sense. And with your own GM journey, so if we pick up the story, Arturs, so you came back to chess as an IM, you got an opportunity to coach in Riga. What did you need to do for your own chess to get? Did you just need to get the norms, or did you need to get stronger when it became time for you to get the title?
Right. I'm trying now to remember, but when I became the head coach of Riga Chess School, I don't think I had a single GM norm at all. So what happened is that I was working with competitive players on a daily basis. So they were coming to Riga Chess School every day, basically. From Monday to Friday, they were Tom Cantons, Nikita Meshkov, now they're Grandmasters. So, I mean, obviously, I'm not going to take all the credit for making them Grandmasters. I feel like probably my greatest input was giving them enough motivation that they work themselves, that they see becoming a Grandmaster something that they want to do, because essentially it's not enough with just the so-called spoon feeding. You also need to convince the person to work himself on chess. And I think we managed to do that really nicely. So from Monday to Friday for a couple of years. And while I was teaching them how to play, I was obviously learning myself as well. So if I have to teach something to a student, it means I have to investigate what is this. So not essentially I was working for myself, like I was working to become a better player. I was researching stuff that I can present to the students. But while I'm presenting, I'm learning myself. It's a bit absurd, but that's how it works.
That's a good deal. And this would have been about 10 years ago or less. How long ago?
This was, I started in 2010. And in 2 years, I became a grandmaster, and they became grandmasters something like 4 or 5 years after we started.
So what was the nature of your work? Like, I mean, probably a little bit of everything, but how much were you using engines in those days and in solving versus reading books versus playing, etc.?
I mean, we were doing all kinds of things, mostly analyzing the games. But this is, I think, where I probably excel the most, because if I get a chance to see a fresh game that he has played, then I can describe it and analyze it from different angles, mention what kind of rules apply here. But of course, we would go also through very strict topics like endgames, like converting, etc. I mean, sometimes I'm not going to deny we didn't even do a thing. So they would arrive, we would play table tennis for hours. I mean, we would have on the basement of Riga Chess School, we would have table tennis, and we would just play ping pong for like 4 hours straight, and especially with Nikita. And then we would say, okay, let's call it a day, right? We are completely sweaty. Okay, what chess? Yeah, let's just play a couple of games and go home. But I mean, this kind of informal atmosphere, I think it created this love for coming here, because this is also how I came to love chess, the process of learning, because it was not never really strict. You come here, I'm going to teach you theory or some materials 3 hours straight. When I was going to a local chess club in Valka, we are playing table tennis, we are playing hide and seek, we are playing Novus. There's this local Latvian game. Okay, sometimes we play chess as well, right? But we are going there to spend time. And I thought that we need sometimes to have this informal atmosphere also ongoing in Riga Chess School, and the results are there.
Yeah, I think it was Botvinnik who said like physical training is chess training, or certainly like embodied that. And I mean, it's a convenient excuse, if nothing else, for you to hang out and play some table tennis.
Yeah, I could say, of course, yeah. I was thinking about the physical education. Yes. We just sometimes we want to have some fun.
Yeah, and I guess that part is harder with working with students virtually. Like to build the camaraderie, it kind of has to be all business over Zoom, right?
Yeah. So working virtually, it is obviously a big challenge. I mean, obviously the chess possibilities online have exploded ever since of COVID. And because of Zoom, this learning from distance is becoming like a norm. Was it like a norm 5 years ago? Totally no. It was basically unheard of. Now it's like standard. But I still think that doing over the board or live training sessions, they are the best, really. I mean, this is where you get to exchange a lot of ideas. Like there's the body language and everything. You can shuffle the pieces, etc. But I mean, still the online training is the second best.
Okay. And I know that for openings, both you and Levy have said you can only say so much. You don't want to reveal any surprises, but like other than the two weaknesses that we've already discussed in Levy's game, you said his openings are fine. Like, but how much of the work that he needs to do to reach the GM level is opening based?
Well, I do believe that his openings indeed are fine. So we are going to make some revisions. Obviously, I can't disclose what they are. He actually listens really what I have to say, but I don't really want to come in and say, listen, everything you were like considering before, this is no, you should be doing like this, right? So I'm just saying, I think that your playing style is as follows. These are my recommendations. I have sent to him some files. You look at them, you make your choice, and then you decide. And some of the choices that I have offered him to consider, he has accepted, and some of them he has, at least for the moment, declined, because it quite doesn't feel that he has to play it. And then sometimes he also comes up with his own ideas that, okay, here I have this particular setup in my mind, and I'm looking at the games. Indeed, yeah, that's a great choice.
Okay, yeah. And obviously, because the event in Spain, he knows who he's going to play, and that obviously changes things compared to like just getting ready for an open tournament.
Right.
So Arturs, one other topic I have to ask you about. You're of course well known. We discussed the Latvian legacy, but one other story that's emanated from Latvia and chess circles in the past couple of years is that of Igors Rausis, of course, who. For listeners who aren't familiar, he is a person who his rating was making these crazy gains, as a senior, and a lot of people were suspicious. And ultimately, he was caught in a bathroom stall with a phone and banned from chess. And unfortunately, he passed away within the past year. but you had the crazy circumstance of seeing him returning to a tournament. I would love to hear you. I mean, if you want to go through your whole history with this gentleman or just tell that story, but I'd love to hear it firsthand.
Right. Well, I'll try not to say anything like, how to say it. I can't really say anything bad about a person who is already passed away. And I think that he was a highly controversial person and probably a victim, maybe, to the lifestyle of the chess professional. And I'm very sorry how it turned out to him, that how it happened, what forced him to do this, because I think it's like you give the devil the small finger and it takes the entire arm. So I'm like, as a human being, I'm very sorry about it. But speaking about this incident in Valka, unfortunately, it was like that. It was my first coach's memorial tournament, and he was playing incognito. Yeah, he had registered as under a different name, which later turned out to be as his changed name, and then he changed it back. Okay, it's a long story. I'm not really sure. Did he really change the name or he changed it back? Maybe it doesn't really matter, but he never disclosed to the arbiters who he was, that he has an international master title, which he was supposed to say, right? And he was like keeping a distance from everybody under a mask, but there was a picture caught. Somebody had photographed a picture of the playing venue where he is playing without the mask, right? So, which again raises the question, if you were like wearing the mask because of safety concerns, why did you decide to make an exception to your opponents during the game, right? So, but okay, whatever. And then happened this unfortunate scandal. I was incredibly upset, right, that he's here, because I felt like this is tainting the memory of my coach. And yeah, and it ended. But Igor never really wanted any scandal. And I also regretted, I regretted somehow how it turned out, because I don't like scandals. I like to have good relationship with people. And I never had anything personal to him. And I don't think he also had anything personal to me. And in general, I'm just, very sorry. I'm just very sorry for him. And I'm sorry that I was probably unable, I don't know, to do something better.
Right. Well, I mean, it seems like you acted admirably under the circumstances of the tournament honoring your coach. I mean, certainly no one wanted him playing and you were the one person who identified him. So he was wearing like a COVID mask that covers your mouth. Was there any other sort of anything else in the disguise, or?
I already don't remember. I think it was mainly the mask. Nobody noticed him, right?
Uh-huh.
Because how would you notice him? He registers under the name of, was it Isa?
Kasimi or something?
Isa Kasimi, and okay, who is he? Who is this guy? Yeah, so nobody noticed him. He was always playing on somewhere on the other boards. And we realized that about round 3 when he was getting to the leaderboards.
Okay. Yeah, it's a crazy story. And in the years where his rating was mysteriously climbing, did you ever play him in any of the events under suspicion?
No, I didn't play him, but I think everybody knew, basically.
Okay.
I mean, everybody knew, because miracles don't happen, and just professionals, they know this stuff, right? They notice odd things. Things are not supposed to happen. You're not supposed to climb to 2,700 out of the blue when you're 50 plus. This never happens. It's against physiology. There's always excuses. I've been able to focus more on playing. I have practice, blah blah blah, stuff like that. But I mean, come on, it never happens, basically, right? And that's why that was a pretty obvious case, and it ended.
Okay. And how big an issue? Obviously, online cheating is a big issue that's talked about a lot. But how big an issue do you think that OTB cheating is? Do you think there are other stories like this out there?
I think we are only seeing the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
That's my gut feeling. I don't really want to go around and say I suspect this guy or that guy, because I perfectly understand the consequences of accusing somebody, right? So I would never do that, but I can't really deny that some of the things look really strange. They look really strange. This is like odd. But okay, fine. Yeah, maybe it's still a probability, right? Online games are still something else. So what I try to do is I try to avoid such tournaments because in general, when I'm playing online, I play for the positive emotions, and that's it. So I already have long given up the hope that I'm going to play in all online tournaments. I'm going to earn something. It's impossible, basically. So I just don't play there, and I play some casual blitz games for no prize money. I play against good opponents, the people I know, and I just get my positive emotions.
Yeah. So you think it's a big problem for Title Tuesdays?
I think it's. I'm not sure about specifically the Title Tuesday. I think it's a big, gigantic problem in general.
Yeah.
That's how I feel it, and unfortunately, I just don't see any solution. So it's like there's no possible solution. There's no legal solution. I don't know what needs to be done. Maybe FIDE needs to somehow step in and do this globally. I have no idea,
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, I always feel like as a worst case, maybe proctored tournaments in terms of like at the top level, but that doesn't help the like grandmaster sort of middle class. And in terms of over the board chess, do you feel that that's as dire? Is that a big problem as well?
Well, I suppose it's much less, but you don't really know because it's so easy to do it. Who was this? I think it was Jan Elvest who once told me some years ago, if he ever wanted to cheat, he would become a world champion, right? Because it's so easy. You are a professional. You know when to act, when not to act. You know how to make it look nervous. The technologies are there. It's very easy to do it. You can't possibly get caught. You get like an external assistance. Nobody's even going to notice. You're going to make mistakes. But it's all about the values we raised.
Yeah. Oh, it's depressing.
No, I think we are going to eventually move on. But that's how I feel about it. Yeah, it's a problem that it needs some solution. We can't really rug it under the carpet.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's go to a different topic, Arturs, as we start to wrap up. I'm curious. So, in your chess development, as you got into it as a teen, as a kid in Latvia, obviously there's more infrastructure there. But how much of your education was sort of teaching yourself? Like, were you a chess book guy? What did you do to make it to the IM level at the age of what was it, 18? You said.
To be honest, until age 18, I was doing basically nothing very serious. I was reading some books. I remember very clearly when my first chess coach gave me the 4 volumes of Mikhail Botvinnik, all of his games, Soviet printed in Russian language. I was barely reading Russian. And he just said, you're going to read those books, you're going to play like 2 grades higher. Yeah, something like, which could relate to that, you're going to play something like 200 300 ELO points higher. And this is what I did. Yeah, so I was studying those books. And this is, by the way, where came my love for the Dutch defense. Because Botvinnik was playing the Dutch defense, he was playing the Stonewall mostly, and I started to play the Dutch, mainly Stonewall, and then I switched at some point to Leningrad. I already don't remember who showed me, probably it was my coach. Maybe there were some Botvinnik's games, but I was pretty much inspired by his games. But there was no structured thought process, no structured thinking, no structured training. I was just doing something and moving on. And only I became a much more serious practitioner of chess when I joined Riga Chess School, because then I had to basically do stuff and I had to research things. And this, I guess, was the difference from IM to GM.
This is when you joined as a teacher.
Right. I joined as a teacher. I had to work more seriously on chess. I had to prepare stuff like, for example, what I'm going to show to my students about converting material advantage. So I had to prepare a lot of material, research stuff. And while I was researching, I was also learning myself.
Okay. And obviously you've made like 4 Chessable courses, very well reviewed. Like, were you always sort of an opening theoretician, or is that something that came later?
That, I think, came later because I'm mainly writing courses on my pet lines. My first steps as an author was for modern chess. I think I wrote my very first course back in 2018. I really don't remember the reasons. I just decided it's cool. I want to give it a try. I've wrote a database. It was like pretty well received. Then I wrote 3 more. And somehow at the moment I felt that I have to switch to Chessable because they were like really exploding at a time and they had some great authors. Everybody was creating courses for Chessable. And I thought, okay, I have to give it a try. So I wrote my very first score for Chessable Lifetime Repertoire's reversed Sicilian, C4, E5, complete repertoire for black. I think it was year 2020 or 21, I already mix up. And it was a reasonable success, and I just decided I want to do this. Yeah, so I discovered passion for writing. I never really thought that I'm going to become an author. So I was writing one course, I've wrote the second course, I wrote the third course, now the fourth course is out, and I'm like, I love this.
That's great. But now that you're working with Levy, you're not sure when the fifth course is coming, it sounds like.
The fifth course is coming.
Okay, just a matter of time.
There's more projects definitely coming. I can't really disclose all of them, but yeah, the fifth course is coming. I have signed an agreement. There's going to be a co-author as well.
Is it opening related, or is that?
It's opening related. Yeah.
Okay. And what kind of what's been your approach to openings? Like, are you a narrow repertoire player, or do you play a broad repertoire?
Well, I play all kinds of systems. There was a moment which was those were probably my prime years, age 32, 33, 34, when I was playing all kinds of openings like E4, D4, the red with knight of 3, sometimes English opening with C4. With black, I was much more predictable, but with white, I was trying to explore everything there is to explore because I wanted to grow as a player, to understand these positions a bit better. But right now, I have focused a bit again more on E4, and now I'm again wondering, should I switch back to D4? Yeah, so it's always like a full circle. You keep switching the openings. You get bored. For example, you play E4. Unfortunately, there's the Italian game or the Rai Lopez or the Petrov. It's, oh my goodness, so boring. I can't stand it. I have played it already for like thousands of times. I know it so well, but I can't stand it. I just want to try something else. And that's why sometimes playing some Reti or Kings in an attack or D4 feels like some fresh breath.
You're speaking my language, even at my level. Yeah, I just every time. I mean, I still play some E4, like kind of to keep people off balance. But yeah, the attack, there's a sameness to it.
Right.
I feel like all the non-double king pawn openings, you can find fresh stuff. At least again at my level, but double king pawn, it's challenging.
Right.
Well, Arturs, this has been a lot of fun. Any closing thoughts as we start to wrap up? I know you've got I'm catching you at a busy time with you about to head off to France.
Right. I don't know. I mean, I just try to do my part, and I enjoy being a chess professional. Never had any regrets ever since I became a chess professional at age 27, then a GM at age 29. It's like you are the bird who is free from the cage, and I could never possibly imagine going back to a desk job, work from 9 to 5. So I'm perfectly happy where I am. For example, today, what day is today? Today is Tuesday, and I decided, okay, I don't really want to work today. I'm going to take the day off, And then sometimes I work really hard on Saturdays. I have a couple of lessons. Okay, fine, no problem. Work until midnight, no problem. I'm going to do that. Then on Monday, I take a break, right? So that's why I like it. I'm a master of my own time. So I think we live in the golden age of chess. Chess is exploding. It's becoming more popular than ever before. Also, we're looking, since again we go back to talk about Levy, he is about to reach 5 million followers on YouTube. I just mind-boggling, right? If we would think about this something like 5 years ago, where chess is gonna be in 5 years, if somebody would tell that there are gonna be content creators with 5 million followers, that there will be multiple content creators with 1 million followers, that there will be very popular Netflix TV series about chess and more stuff, that the NBA superstars are playing chess and they enjoy this, I wouldn't believe the guy.
It's a really good point. It's easy to lose perspective and get sort of like bogged down in the negativity with like online cheating and stuff. But yeah, we've come a long way for sure. And I can't help but wonder, I saw on your Lead Chess Coaches page, you said you're not taking students, but I'm guessing with this Levy series, even with it only being out a couple of weeks, are you getting like besieged with random requests?
Right. I get random requests like basically every day now. So it used to be something like once a week. Now it's every day, basically, maybe every second day. And I'm saying now already no to everybody. And I'm going to open new groups probably starting this fall. And I feel that since I'm probably now slightly more higher profile, I'll have to raise the hourly fee.
Yeah, that makes sense. And now you got
that's the logic.
Chess podcast host bugging you when you're trying to leave town.
Right.
But on that note, Arturs, we really appreciate you taking the time. Greatly enjoying your content, both on Chessable and with Levy. And you'll be in my earbuds a lot because, as I said, I signed up for Levy's Patreon, and I'm going to be watching these 2-hour lessons.
Wow.
It's the next best thing for me for actually getting the lessons myself. So thanks for stopping by, and we look forward to you and Levy's continued successes.
Thank you, Ben, for having me.